Couple of minutes away from 7 o'clock. Good to have you with us. A panel of experts says the country's security services failed to respond efficiently and timeously to the July unrest. That report was released yesterday. More than 300 people lost their lives. Billions of rand were lost to the economy. Dr. Jakkie Cilliers from the Institute for Security Studies joining us to talk about this now. Dr. Cilliers, good morning to you. Thanks very much for your time. Of a very lengthy report, take me through what you think stood out. What stood out for me has got to be the fact that it was known, or at least there was a high probability that there was going to be violence. So it's not as though the security cluster was caught off guard. That's what stood out for me.
Good morning. Yes, I think what
Dr.
I found
Cilliers, just maybe perhaps just check your microphone. I suspect you might be on mute. Forgive me for interrupting. All right, I think I've got you now. Go ahead.
Can you hear me now?
I do. Go ahead, Doctor. Apologies.
Yes. Gareth, I think what concerned me was just the very evident lack of coherence within the executive and the intelligence agencies that all operated in silos. So you just get a sense of a lack of coordination, lack of leadership, and then, of course, the inherent infighting within government that seemed to stymie effective responses, and that really was laid bare by the recommendations of a really quite a hard-hitting report.
And one of the biggest criticisms has been aimed at the executive as well. In the end of all the bad decisions, of all the miscommunication, etc., 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 the blame squarely falls on the executive, according to the report. What did you make of that?
Yes, I mean, basically the report says that the president and cabinet are they run the country, they take ultimate responsibility. And it's very evident that intelligence, nobody was listening to intelligence, that the coordination systems are all established, but it's not taken seriously, that the infighting between the Minister of Police and the National Commissioner and all of these issues just compounded a situation where numerous commissions of inquiry over many years have made recommendations about improvements, about training. And what we have is a system which doesn't operate as a system. The components are there, and so it's not really the system that is the problem. It is the people that are managing, that are responsible for that system. And that ultimately it's the president, it's the Minister of Police, now the Minister of Intelligence, the Minister of Defense, which were really not collaborating with one another. And of course, underlying all of this is the evidence that what is driving these inefficiencies is the factionalism within the governing party, which is spilt into the security agencies. And some of these things can be fixed quite easily, like the appointment of competent career security professionals from within the service to permanent positions, to remove cadre deployment from the impact that it has had on our top security agencies, and then holding people to account. And this is really, I think we've all been saying for I don't know how many years, and that the lack of accountability, the lack of consequence management within government, including within the cabinet, lies at the root of this problem.
I want to leave my last question to you, Doctor, just because you mentioned cabinet. Part of the report also talking about overreach in intelligence, cabinet ministers getting involved in portfolios that they shouldn't be involved in. Too many chefs in the kitchen.
Yeah, I think that is really a reference to the fact that the fight between the Minister of Police and the National Commissioner, because you have a Minister of Police, a former National Commissioner, who really acts as if he is still the National Commissioner, and who doesn't trust the National Commissioner. So the National Commissioner is absent in duty. He's sitting in Pretoria. The Minister is in KwaZulu-Natal, managing and operationally dealing with the police and the police response. It's a completely irregular situation, and that is because, of course, the president has been sitting on recommendations to suspend the National Commissioner, I think, since September of last year.
Well, let's not forget just how involved the politics is in the situation that we saw last year. Dr. Jakkie Cilliers, thank you very much indeed for your time in joining us this morning from the Institute for Security Studies. Tumza, there's a lot to unpack, 154 pages. Of course, we're going to continue to do that. The role of social media, I didn't even get a chance to ask about that, but social media also a big, big issue.